But when you're comparing the two, Gerrard, Premier League titles. Oh. Welcome to FTBL Culture. It's your boy CultureCams. Today we're going to be getting into the creme de la prem. And there's going to be one man in the spotlight, Kevin De Bruyne. But first and foremost, make sure you like, share and subscribe and turn the notifications on so you don't miss any of this amazing content. Let's get into this one. KDB. First and foremost, you know you got to be a good player to have an abbreviation. That's the first and foremost. So big him up for having that, because KDB is a solid little abbreviation. People like Van der Beek trying to have their own ones and that. No, you're Van der Beek. You're not VDB. It's only KDB. You know what I'm saying? So listen, first and foremost, big up KDB for matching Steven Gerrard's 92 Premier League assists in 287 less games. I'm going to go further into that later, but let me talk about the player that De Bruyne is. Do you remember when Sky Sports were literally in hysterics at the signing of KDB? I remember the back page of The Sun, I believe it is, 50 million flop. They're bringing back a 50 million flop who didn't succeed at Chelsea. And I'm sure Jose Mourinho might not admit it, but that would be one of his biggest mistakes. I remember hearing John Terry talk about KDB, and he said something like, you can see he was a talented player, but he was a bit impatient, you know? He was a bit impatient, but listen, if you're that good, why wouldn't you be impatient? And he has proved all his doubters wrong, and now they're even his biggest fans. That's the funniest part about it. You know what they say, you gotta turn your haters into fans. When your haters become fans, you need some new ones. You know what I'm saying? And that's what KDB is doing, so big him up for that. But let's talk about him as a talent. Right foot, left foot, side foot, outside the boot, he can hit it across the half volley. He can do so many things, assists, goals. I mean, what more do you need from a midfielder? Track back, engine, devastating on the counter, great teammate, a leader. This is a all-round package. And when his legs start to go, you start to think, oh, maybe his legs are going. He just says, okay, I'll just stand a little bit more closer to a striker and just be an absolute machine. Last season, 4 goals away from home against Wolves. Come on, man, you're violating now. Like you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing as a midfielder. So we're talking about an all-timer. Have to put that there now. He's an all-timer, you know, and arguably the greatest player City have had. Arguably, I mean, you're looking at Aguero, David Silva, Yaya Toure, company. For me, he surpassed Yaya Toure. I mean, at Manchester City. I mean, look what he's doing. I mean, we love Yaya. I know, big, strong, fast, run past you. He's like an ox. But KDB's consistency, year on, year end, it's just different level. It's just different level. And we're talking about a player who, when you compare him to the Lampards, to Scholes and Roy Keane, Vieira, Gerrard, he's got more titles than the majority of them. He's got more player of the years than the majority of them. He's got more goals than a few of them. He's got more assists than the majority of them. How can he not be in this conversation? We are looking at one of the best midfielders in Premier League history. And some people might even have him as number 1. I wouldn't go for that far yet, but he is definitely in the conversation. I mean, there was a point where he was floating around. You know, people are putting him around the kind of Michael Essiens and maybe the Cesc Fabregas, who I think is criminally underrated. Maybe I'll do a show on him one day, but that kind of list, he's surpassed that now. He's sitting on the list with the upper echelon. But you look at what he's done, he's got moments, trophies, accolades. There's not much more that he can do. And I think one thing that does harm KDB's rep in a way, to be honest, he has got probably the best PR team I've ever seen, because as much as I'm bigging him up, there's that player of the year, that player of the year that he got instead of Harry Kane, for me was crazy. But I think worldwide, when you think about all these all-timers and when they were in their prime, you kind of felt, yeah, they are going to go down as one of the greatest ever. There's something about KDB that maybe that's lacking. And I think that's not got anything to do with his ability. I think it's because he plays for Man City. I think it's because he's not playing for one of the top historical clubs. The clout that comes when you play for Manchester United, the clout that comes when you play for Liverpool. Even Chelsea have now started to push themselves into that lane. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, AC Milan. The clout that comes with that kind of club is unbelievable. And I think KDB, maybe because they haven't won in Europe as well, maybe because Belgium haven't really made noise, you kind of just look at him and you're like, okay, yeah, he's nice, but let me wait and see. I think we got to cut down that wait and see barrier now and accept that he is in there. Okay, yes, he probably needs to win a Champions League. I mean, he's been playing for a super team for many years. But the funniest thing about all of this is that his contribution in the Champions League is unbelievable. He is consistently, and I've said it before in my previous videos before, he's Manchester City's greatest player in Europe. Simple as that. The greatest player in Europe. You look at Aguero, Kompany, Yaya, Silva, they always underwhelmed. For me, underwhelming in Europe. But you see KDB, he steps up. He steps up. I remember big goals against Real Madrid, big goals against PSG. I think there's many more. I don't even want to forget any. There's many big European nights that this guy's had. So he has literally ticked every single box. And I mentioned earlier in the start of the video, he is now matched the legend, the captain, Steven Gerrard. He has matched him for assists in 287 less games. And look, I'm not a stat lover. Like I watch the game, but so I know the game has changed. Assists are more regular, assists are more frequent, the way the game is played. So I understand that Gerrard might have played in a bit of different areas as well. But who is the better player between the two? That is a debate that is probably going to go on for years and years. But when you're comparing the two, Gerrard, Premier League titles. Oh, KDB, 4 titles. En route to probably his 5th. 2 Player of the Years, Gerrard, 1 Player of the Year. 92 assists in 287 less games. Gerrard has about 120 Premier League goals. So I don't think KDB is going to catch him for that unless he continuously plays on until maybe he's in his 40s. But it's not only that on the stats thing. Ability-wise, you can argue KDB is more talented than Steven Gerrard. Gerrard was that engine, all action, and that's what people sometimes put him over Lampard or Scholes, because he's that engine. He'll get about, he'll tackle, he'll ping a 60-yarder, whatever. But KDB, he knows his set role, he knows what he's doing. I wouldn't say as much as the engine of Steven Gerrard, but he's got that engine about him. Gerrard has got the aspect of he carried a pretty much an average team. KDB's played for a super team pretty much his whole Premier League career. Steven Gerrard, yes, he didn't have the benefit of that. When he did have that, he dropped all-timer seasons. Let's be honest. So for me, it is a tough one. Maybe people are going to say I'm nostalgic or whatever. I still love the way Steven Gerrard plays. And yes, I banter Gerrard. I laugh that he hasn't won a trophy or the Premier League and all that type of things. But for me, he was just the epitome of a hero, a leader, on-pitch example. So I kind of edged towards him. But by the end of their careers, this might be a whole different discussion. Because KDB is not letting up and he's not stopping. By the time I next have this conversation, he might have 6 or 7 Premier League titles. And at that point, I'm sorry, Gerrard, you cannot compete. Like Pep said, we cannot replace him, but he cannot compete. I'm telling you this now. So it's going to be an interesting debate that'll go on for time. Gerrard is the nostalgia king. Gerrard is, we remember the moments. You close your eyes right now, you think about FA Cup final, you think about Istanbul, you think about Olympiacos. Maybe KDB hasn't got them standout moments, but for pure consistency at the highest level, tick, 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 tick. So that's my thoughts on KDB. What an absolute player he is. You know, I'm always throwing the jokes around that he's spamming crosses, but The streets won't forget that season where KDB was second in a crosses in the Premier League, and the rest of the guys around him were all fullbacks. I ain't gonna forget that. But today I'm being unbiased, I'm being nice. I'm not gonna go into that too much. But guys, make sure you drop your likes, your comments, you turn the notifications on. Let me know who is better, Steven Gerrard or Kevin De Bruyne. Where does Kevin De Bruyne rank in the top Premier League midfielders in history? I mean, if he surpassed Steven Gerrard, for some people, that might mean he's number one. I'm definitely interested to hear your takes. Make sure you drop the comments. That was Creme de la Prem. I'm CultureCams. I'm out.